Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to the third press conference of the new Center of the commemorating events of the 80th anniversary of the victory of the Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression. Today we have with us Mr. Ma Feixiong, Vice Minister of Ministry of Veteran Affairs, and Mr. Sun Deli, Deputy Director of the National Cultural Heritage Administration. They will brief us on the fourth batch of National Resistance War memorial facilities, name lists of sites, renowned heroic martyrs and groups, and their preservation and promotion works, and take your questions. We also have with us Mr. Li Jianxian from the Department of Commendation and Memorial Affairs of the Ministry of Veteran Affairs, and also Mr. Peng Yuehui from the Department of Revolutionary Relics of the National Cultural Heritage Administration. First, let's welcome Mr. Ma Xiongfei.
Ladies and gentlemen, friends from the media, good morning. It's my pleasure to meet you all. Let me take this opportunity on behalf of the Ministry of Veteran Affairs to extend our heartfelt appreciation to party committees, government, and people from across society for your attention, support for the commendation of martyrs. In the 14 arduous years of resisting Japanese militarist aggressors, the Chinese people united as one and pulled together a strong determination to resist foreign aggression and achieve national survival. Together, they wrote a touching and epic tale. A series of heroic figures, including Yang Jingyu, Zhao Shangzhi, Zuo Quan, Peng Xuefeng, Zhang Zizhong, as well as the 5 heroes of Mount Langya of the 8th Route Army, the Liu Laozhuang Company of the New 4th Army, the Northeast United Resistance Army's female soldiers, and the 800 heroes of the Kuomintang troops. These heroes are the backbone of the Chinese nation. Their deeds and their heroic spirit are a mighty source of inspiration for us as we move forward. They should be remembered forever. Since the 18th CPC National Congress, General Secretary Xi Jinping has attached great importance to the commendation of martyrs. He has made a series of important instructions on remembering the past, honoring fallen heroes, cherishing peace, and creating a better future, and a series of important instructions on protecting the historical resources from the War of Resistance and carrying forward the great spirit of the War of Resistance, thus providing fundamental guidance and action plans for our work in the commendation of martyrs. Our ministry firmly implements the series of important instructions made by General Secretary Xi Jinping. We promote awareness of the heroic deeds of martyrs and actively protect and utilize the memorial facilities in order to carry forward the great spirit. First, we have steadily improved laws and regulations. The general offices of the CPC Central Committee, the State Council, and the Central Military Commission have issued the overall work plan for the planning, construction, restoration, management, and maintenance of memorial facilities for martyrs, opinion on the commendation of martyrs in the new era, and revised the regulations on the commendation of martyrs, the measures for the protection and management of the memorial facilities for martyrs, and measures for the burial of martyrs, among other laws and regulations. They have formulated policies and rules for the regulation and management of the memorial facilities, for strengthening the promotion of the exhibitions for the memorial facilities, laying a solid foundation for our work in protecting, managing, and utilizing the memorial facilities. Second, we have carried out extensive memorial activities. On Tomb Sweeping Festival, the Martyrs Memorial Day and the National Memorial Day for Nanjing Massacre victims, we have organized various memorial services and visits across different communities in order to pay tribute to the fallen heroes during the War of Resistance and educate the people, especially our young people, about the crimes committed by the Japanese militarist aggressors, so that people will remember the history of the Chinese nations resisting foreign aggression and fighting for national survival, as well as the great national sacrifice the Chinese people made in the World Anti-Fascist War, as well as their important historical contributions in order to foster a greater sense of national spirit and patriotism. Third, we have strengthened the protection and management of facilities through means such as on-site study and research of historical documents, among others. We have worked to collect and verify information regarding the memorial facilities of the martyrs and achieved digitized and targeted management. We have stepped up the renovation of martyrs' cemeteries, investing some 270 million yuan to build 43 projects. We have implemented a project to renovate the memorial facilities below the county level nationwide, mobilizing 20 billion yuan to relocate 77,000 scattered tombs of martyrs to cemeteries for them. Together with the Supreme People's Procuratorate, we have carried out a special campaign. We have also signed a strategic cooperation agreement with the National Cultural Heritage Administration to promote the protection and management of the facilities and relics. And fourth, we have worked to tell good tales of the heroic deeds of the martyrs. We have organized the collection and compilation of historical documents, collecting oral accounts of their history, organizing exhibitions of the relics, and compiling literature on their deeds to promote their spirit. We have issued 4 batches of national-level memorial facilities and sites, totaling 294, as well as 1,128 renowned martyrs and heroic groups, to create a strong atmosphere for commemorating that war. We have also organized other events to tell stories at a higher level of the martyrs and heroic groups. Going forward, we will take the opportunity of releasing the 4th batch of national-level memorial facilities and sites, as well as the list of renowned martyrs and heroic groups, to further protect, manage, and utilize those resources. We will promote awareness raising of the heroic deeds in schools, communities, and military camps so that our people, especially the young people, will develop a stronger sense of patriotism and carry forward the spirit of the fallen heroes. In this way, we can promote the great national spirit and the spirit of the war of resistance across society and contribute our part to Chinese modernization and national rejuvenation. In a few days, we will commemorate the 80th anniversary of the victory of the Chinese people's war of resistance against Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist War. We would like to pay tribute to all those who made immense sacrifice and even the ultimate sacrifice for this great war of justice. They include martyrs, overseas, Chinese, and international friends. Thank you. Thank you. Now, Mr. Sun, please.
Thank you. Friends from the press, good morning. I'm very pleased to brief you on the preservation and use of the War of Resistance relics. The relics carries the national memories and are precious assets of the party and the country, and are vivid textbooks of patriotic education. Since the 18th CPC National Congress, the CPC Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping as its core attaches great importance on the War of Resistance relics. General Secretary Xi Jinping attended multiple events commemorating the War of Resistance and went to historical sites, memorial places, and he has made important instructions on providing education and make the sound work of the preservation of cultural relics. In the new era, the preservation and use of the cultural relics have made new progress, and they are mainly reflected in three basics and one fully. First, we have basically identified all the resources. Across China, there are more than 10,000 immovable relics and more than 500,000 movable relics. In the latest investigation, we have found some new historical sites, and we will continue our research. Second, the layout has been basically formed. The 20 thematic revolutionary relics preservation and use zones have been progressing orderly. The Yan'an National Relics Preservation Demonstration Zone have been successfully launched. And across China, there have been more than 3,000 projects of relics preservation, renovation, layout, exhibition, and environmental improvement, and relics preservation, renovation, and major dangers at historical sites have been eliminated, and the preservation has been significantly improved. Third, the standards of the preservation have improved. 18 thematic exhibitions have been listed as the top 10 exhibition, and 44 exhibitions have been listed as the exhibitions that carry forward the fine traditional Chinese culture and foster core socialist values. Fourth, the educational functions have been fully demonstrated. Each year, on average, more than 500 thematic exhibitions are held, and more than 60 million visits to the historical and memorial sites are made. 96 historical sites and venues have been listed as National Patriotic Education Demonstration Base. Hong Kong, Macau, SAR set up the first patriotic education base for Hong Kong and Macau youth in mainland. And a number of historical sites and venues have become bases for tradition education base, national defense education base, and patriotic education base. Commemorating the victory of the 80th anniversary of the War of Resistance against Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist War is the lasting remembrance of history, tribute to the fallen heroes, the defending of justice, and the efforts to create a better future of the Chinese people. This year, the National Cultural Heritage Administration will follow the instructions and ensure the sound work of the cultural relics. In terms of preservation, we will eliminate the major dangers and security risks to ensure the daily restoration and renovation, and we will support local governments in launching and completing a number of preservation, renovation, and environmental improvement projects. Second, in terms of exhibitions, we'll jointly hold the thematic activity season on relics preservation. And across China, there will be over 1,000 thematic exhibitions. In terms of telling the stories, we'll hold the 5th Red Stories tour guide competitions. And we will hold the political theory course, high-quality resource development and promotion work themed the 80th anniversary of the victory of the War of Resistance in universities and high schools. We will spread the stories of the heroes and patriotism to foster a sense of patriotism. And fourth, in terms of hosting thematic activities, we have held a thematic online publicity campaign, and local governments will leverage their historical sites and memorial places to organize various exhibitions and events so that the people will receive education of patriotism. Friends from the press are warmly welcome to follow and cover our work on preserving the relics, to jointly tell the stories of the War of Resistance. With that, we are ready to take your questions.
Thank
you. The floor is now open for questions. Please identify your media affiliation before asking questions. This press conference will be interpreted simultaneously. For questions asked in Chinese, they will be interpreted into Chinese. For questions asked in English, they will be interpreted into Chinese consecutively. Now the floor is open.
感谢主持人，人民日报记者提问。今年是中国人民抗日战争
People's Daily. This year marks the 80th anniversary of the victory of the Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist War. We have noted that an important event of the commemoration is that you have released the 4th batch of lists. Can you tell us about your work in that regard?
好，谢谢这位记者朋友的提问。
Thank you for your question. History is the best textbook and the best wake-up call. The memorial facilities and sites and the martyrs and heroic groups are an important witness to the 14 years of heroic resistance against aggression, and they embody the great spirit of the war. Issuing the 2 lists is not only an important way to commemorate and pay tribute to the great spirit of the heroes, but also a good way to carry forward the great spirit of the war and our great patriotic spirit. It is also a good opportunity to foster a stronger sense of patriotism and to carry out education about our history across society. In 2014, 2015, and 2020, upon approval by the CPC Central Committee and the State Council, we had released 3 batches of altogether 260 national-level memorial facilities and sites, as well as 1,085 martyrs and heroic groups. As you mentioned, this year marks the 80th anniversary of the victory of the Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist War. To better commemorate the enduring feat of the martyrs and to carry forward their great spirit, starting from April, the Ministry of Veterans Affairs, together with 12 departments in the military and in government, together issued a notice to call for application across society, and we have also solicited leads across society. Upon consulting relevant authorities and the recommendations of our embassies and consulates abroad, we have worked to compile the 4th batch of lists for the facilities, venues, and heroic figures. We arrived at the final list after compiling the historical literature, verifying the accuracy and authenticity, and visiting on-site the facilities, relics, and consulting experts in party history, military history, and modern and contemporary history. Upon approval by the CPC Central Committee and the State Council, the lists have been released. The 4th batch of lists include 34 facilities and sites and 41 martyrs and 2 heroic groups. Our work lasted more than 5 months from the very beginning to the final issuance of the lists. There are 3 features. First, emphasis is given to showcasing the important role of the Communist Party of China as a pillar in the nationwide resistance, as well as the brave struggle of the Chinese sons and daughters under the banner of a united front, together with anti-fascist alliance and people of other countries around the world. Second, emphasis is given to the 14 years of extraordinary struggle from 1931 to 1945. And third, a balanced approach is taken to the great sacrifice on the frontal battlefield and the battlefield behind enemy lines, portraying also overseas Chinese and international friends' contributions. Thank you.
谢谢主持人。重新日报记者提问：刚刚发布人提到了正在开展的抗战文物保护展示主题活动季，想问一下这个活动的工作目标是什么？
With Chongqing Daily, just now you have briefed about the ongoing thematic event season for preserving the War of Resistance relics. Can you share with us more? Thank you for your question. The semantic activity season marked an innovative step to preserve the relics from the War of Resistance. It aims at preserving the relics, telling resistance stories, and carrying forward the spirit. The season will try to enhance overall planning and step up the coordination so as to build a matrix of publication and promote the public to remember history and to better charter the way forward. This season will last from July to September, and every month will have various activities in different forms. In July, we have opened the exhibition to commemorate the victory of the Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist War. And also, we have many other semantic exhibitions to commemorate the 80th anniversary. Also, we implemented a series of preservation projects and co-hosted and promoted exhibitions about the victory. In August, we put forward 3+ semantic exhibition. And there are 2 outstanding ones about the mainstay of the CPC during the war and about the Northeast Resistance Army. We have organized events to raise public awareness in 6 sites and remains of the War of Resistance across provinces, and organized events for donating resistance relics and selected 10 examples and other outstanding ones. In September, we will put forth semantic exhibitions of the Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression and Friends from the World, and also regular exhibition about the flying tigers. We will also organize a great lesson that covers students from elementary school, middle school, and university. Since the beginning of this year, the central and local media actively participated and supported the work of resistance relics, especially on setting the theme, storytelling, reporting, and programs producing. They have being actively echoed by the public and has promoted a good atmosphere for exhibitions and preserving the relics. Taking this opportunity, I would like to thank the endeavors of friends from the media. Thank you. Next one, please.
谢谢主持人。澳门日报记者提问：我们注意到这次公布的部分第4批抗战纪念设施。
Macau Daily, we note that some of the facilities you have issued are located outside China, and the same goes for the previous batch of memorial facilities. Can you tell us about your work in that regard?
我国在境外有抗战
Outside the Chinese mainland, there are more than 100 memorial facilities in countries including Myanmar, India, Malaysia, Papua New Guinea, Russia. There are more than 30. In Hong Kong and Macau region, there are over 80. These memorial facilities and sites are managed by the local Chinese people, communities, or Chinese companies, as well as the relevant departments of those countries. Most of them are under good maintenance. Among the first 3 batches, altogether 260 sites, there are 3 in Hong Kong and Macau and 3 in other countries. And in the 4th batch released this time, there are 4 outside the Chinese mainland. These facilities have witnessed the great struggle under the banner of a united front in the face of barbaric Japanese aggressors by our compatriots in Hong Kong and Macau, in other countries, together with the Chinese people. They fought bravely in this war of national survival. They fought as one against the enemy and achieved an ultimate victory, marking a great spirit of resisting foreign aggression. In recent years, China has continued to step up the management and protection of our memorial facilities outside the Chinese mainland. In 2023 and 2024, we have built and renovated the facilities in Myanmar and Papua New Guinea, and this year, according to the instructions of the central government, we have worked with the Foreign Ministry and the National Cultural Relics Administration to step up the management and renovation of those sites. Our renovation of a site in Russia will soon be opened. We also visited on-site the sites in Hong Kong and Macau and paid tribute in sites in Malaysia and Papua New Guinea. The Chinese embassies and consulates are working to collect information of the maintenance of those sites in those countries, coming up with work plans and organizing memorial activities to ensure that all those sites will be well protected and utilized. Next, in accordance with the central instructions, our ministry will continue to work to serve the big picture of our diplomatic work and continue to protect and manage well our memorial sites. We will continue to tell good stories of the great spirit in the war of resistance. Thank you.
中区第二排，这位男士。
感谢主持人。中国文化报记者提问：坚持保护第一是新时代文物
China Cultural Daily. Putting protection first is an important part of the work on cultural relics in the new era. Can you tell us how is your work going in protecting the cultural relics in the war of resistance? Those cultural relics are precious resources that have no parallel, and they are not renewable. Protection is a primary task. Over the years, we have worked in accordance with the laws in cultural relic protection to save the relics that need saving and also to take a preemptive approach to protecting. First, we continue to serve the big picture. We have carried out cultural relic protection projects to better protect and carry forward the spirit embodied in those relics. We have supported the enlargement of the museum to commemorate the war of resistance and organized integrated projects to renovate Lugo Bridge and Wanping City. Second, we have taken a coordinated approach to improve the layout and design of the regions with the theme on cultural relic protection. We have stepped up systematic protection to reinvigorate the regions of historical significance. Third, we have implemented demonstrative projects, making good use of the relics of the headquarters of the 8th Route Army, the new 4th Army, the Battle of Pingxingguan, the Battle of Taizhuang, the Battle of Xuefengshan in Hunan, the Battle of Ranzhuang, among other sites. Fourth, we have deepened archaeological investigation. We have implemented a 3-year action plan to protect relics of the Northeast Resistance Army and achieve new breakthrough in Jilin and Heilongjiang. We have unearthed more than 4,000 new relic sites and close to 500 artifacts. We have worked to build parks in the Northeast as well as part of the 3-year action plan. Fifth, we have worked to save, to compile, and to study the literature on the resistance war and stepped up the protection and utilization of relics and evidence of the crimes of Japanese aggressors. Fifth, we have deepened innovation of local governments. Heilongjiang, Guangxi, Yunnan, and Shanxi have issued 7 local regulations on the protection of those relics. Shanxi and Shanxi have provided fiscal support for the renovation and protection of the relics. And we have worked to build themed regions to promote awareness raising on revolutionary history.
谢新华社记者提问：广大群众高度关注抗战相关纪念设施和遗址的保护管理。
Xinhua News Agency. The public cares a lot about the preservation of memorial sites. Can the Ministry of Veteran Affairs share with us more details on this?
谢谢这位记者朋友的提问。
Thank you for your
我想这个
question.
问题啊，请我们具体负责这项工作的李进业同志回答。
I would like to ask Mr. Li Jianxian to take this question.
在那段艰苦卓绝的繁
President Xi Jinping has pointed out,
无数勇
during
敢的人
the
们
arduous
为
struggle
了胜
of
利
the world
献出
anti-fascist
了宝
war,
贵的生命，
countless courageous people have given their lives to the victory.
保护好管理好
Their
运用
glory
好
there will
抗战
be
纪念
remembered
设施和
forever.
资源，既是对
Preserving,
抗
managing,
战英
and
烈的深切
using
缅怀，
these
又是对
memorial
抗战
sites
历史
well
的深刻
is
铭
to
记，
commemorate these
也是
martyrs,
退役军人事务部门
as
的
well to
神
remember
圣
the
职
history
责
of the
和
war of
光荣
resistance.
使命。
It is the sacred
退
duty
役
and
军事务
glorious
部
mission
持
of
续
our
推进
ministry.
抗战纪念设施
The
保护
Ministry
管
of
理，
Veteran
不
Affairs
断
continues
筑
to
牢
promote the
红色建
preservation
立，
of
也
memorial
是全面
facilities of
摸
martyrs.
清底数，
First,
部署开
we
展
made clear the
信息
scale.
采集校核，
We have
摸
planned
清抗战相
collecting
关纪念设施
information
3.9
through field
万处，
investigation
并
and
陆陆续续
verifying historical
实现
records.
信息化、
Now we have
精准化
collected
管理。
information of
二是强化修缮保护，
39,000
积极
sites
争取中央资金支持，
and has registered
稳步
them
实
into
施
information
晋
system.
冀鲁豫烈士陵
Second
园
is better
五乡八
preservation.
路军烈士陵
We
园等
actively
实施改
apply
造
for
项目，
fund and
有序
execute
推进
preservation projects,
在俄罗斯、
such
中
as
国东北
the
抗联教导旅
cemetery
境
for
外
martyrs
纪念
in
设施上工程，
Shanxi,
共
Hebei,
同
and
文旅
Shandong,
部门
and also
落
the
实革命文物
cemetery
纪念
of
设施
the
保
Eighth
护
Route
合作
Army
协议
in
定
Wuxiang.
期排查修
We
缮
also carry out
抗战纪念
overseas
设施
sites
总体面
preservation,
得到
like the
提升
memorial facilities
三是
in Northeast
发挥
Resistance
重要作
Alliance
用
in Russia,
收集整理
and also
抗战
have
英烈
signed
史料
agreements
遗物
across departments to
挖
improve the
掘抗
preservation
战
work.
英烈事迹，
Third is to give full play to their educational function.
增强
We have
传播
organized
力、感染力
the
影响力
belongings of the martyrs
举办
and
全国
historical
英烈教育
records
员大
into
会
exhibitions,
全民共
and we
典
found out their
抗战英烈
stories
故事等
to
活动
form
堂
so
上
as to
开
raise
展
public
纪念
awareness
缅怀
and
等
make their stories
引导广
heard.
大人民群众，特别是
We
青少年
also organize competition on
铭记抗战历
storytelling
史，
about
致
the
敬抗战
stories
英
of the
烈，
martyrs,
传
and
承
also
红色记忆。
activities
下一步，我
rising
们将立足培育
the
民族精
awareness
神
of the
和
public,
爱国情
especially
怀，
among
切实保护
the
好
youth,
抗战纪
to
念
let
设施，
them draw
持续
strengths
开展
from these
缅怀
stories.
教育活动，
Going
引导广
forward,
大群
we
众
will start
充分
from
认清
cultivating national
日本
spirits
侵略
and
者的滔
the
天罪，
patriotic
深入
sentiments
学
to
习
enhance
抗战
our
英
work
烈
of
的英雄事
preservation,
迹，大
and
力
continue
弘
to
扬
carry out
伟大奋斗
educational
精神，
events.
为
Let the
以
public know the
中国
crimes
现
of
代
the
化全
Japanese
面实现
militarist
强国建设，
aggressors
民
and
族
guide
复
them
兴
to
伟
learn
业，
the stories and
凝聚
spirits
强
of
大
the
的
heroes,
精神力量。
so as to pull strands for building a modern socialist country and realizing the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. Thank you. Next one, please.
谢谢主持人。河南广播电视台大象新闻记者提问：抗战文物是全人类共同的历史记忆。
Henan Media Group, relics of war resistance are common historical memories of humanity, as well as important carriers of the great spirit of the war of resistance. How do you leverage the relics to tell the stories of the war and uphold the spirit of the war of resistance? Thank you for this question. General Secretary Xi Jinping attaches great importance to the history of revolution and values the war of resistance relics. In many places that he inspected, he went to the historical sites and emphasized that we should well preserve, manage, and use the cultural relics. This July, General Secretary Xi Jinping made a special visit to Yangquan in Shanxi to lay wreaths to the monument. On that land where our fallen heroes fought for the war, he called on people to learn the history and uphold and carry forward the spirit of the war of resistance. The relics is full of the stories from the war of resistance and carries the spirit of the war of resistance. We will thoroughly study the important instructions of General Secretary Xi Jinping to ensure the sound preservation and use of the cultural relics, tap into the educational functions of the cultural relics and tell the stories of the war and carry forward the spirit of the war of resistance and foster greater strength to unite the people. First, we must fully leverage the cultural relics' role to tell history. We'll use historical truth to educate people. Cultural relics are visible and tangible history. The photos, the relics told the barbaric aggression of the Japanese militarism and vividly demonstrated the leadership of the CPC in leading the people to fight together against foreign aggression, and fully reflected the role of the CPC as a central pillar in the war of resistance. We will further our study on the history of the war of resistance and restore the historical truth and review the process and the laws of the victory of the war of resistance. We will improve the standard of the exhibitions, make greater efforts on the exhibitions, and make more innovation to enable people to have a correct perspective on the war and learn inspirations from the history. Second, we will tell the stories of the heroes. We will use their heroic image and stories to educate the people. The cultural relics reflected the history of people and the stories. The history, the museum of the CPC, there is the weapons used by, items used by Yang Jingyu. In the Overseas Chinese History Museum, there is a cheongsam of Yi Guangyan, an overseas Chinese leader. And all these items are reflections of these people's aspirations and missions. We will use storytelling ways and presentation of details to increase the charm and appeal of the exhibitions to show the lively image of the heroes, so that enable the society to learn from, to pay tribute to, and respect all these heroes. We will take the great spirit to encourage and motivate the people. Cultural relics are the reflections of the cultural spirit, vision, and confidence. In the Museum of the War of Resistance Against Japanese Aggression, there was a draft of the Song of Camping written by the Northeast United Resistance Army, which goes as the wind roars, heavy snow flies, the temperature is low, and people are difficult to fall asleep. The soldiers, warriors, with their fervent hearts and spirits keen, swept through the source of the Ninjiang River. People left comments that they have saw the determination and the heroic spirit of the soldiers, and they are striving and they cannot be overwhelmed. This is the power that reach the hearts of the people from the relics. We will organize and hold a solemn ceremonial and engage in commemorative events to carry forward the great spirit of the war of resistance, to foster greater patriotism and make greater contributions to work for the building of a great nation and national rejuvenation. Thank you.
南方日报南方家记者提问：在公布的第4批名录中，哪些抗日英烈或抗战纪念设施给您留下了深刻的印象？可否向我们透露一下？
I'm with Southern Daily. In the fourth batch of name list, are there any martyrs or sites of the war of resistance have left you a deep impression? Can you share with us? Thank you for your question. In the bitter struggle of the war of resistance against Japanese aggression, all Chinese sons and daughters fight for national survival, national rejuvenation, and justice of humanity. The social mobilization, national awakening, the fighting will of the Chinese people, and the winning resolution have all reached unprecedented levels. The heroic stories the fourth batch of name list carries are deeply touching and is highly respectable. As for the heroic martyrs, these martyrs in the fourth batch of name list sacrificed at an average age of only less than 35. Among them, there are patriotic commanders, for example, Zheng Shaoyu, the Deputy Commander-in-Chief of the China-US Air Force Joint Command. He was also himself a pilot. He led the squad to fight with Japanese aggressors in the August 14th air battle and also the air battle in Wuhan. He has won many merits on the battlefield. Yet, unfortunately, he made the ultimate sacrifice in 1942. There are also war heroes. For example, Li Minqin. He fought bravely and has caused severe damage to the Japanese aggressors. He was honored by Commander-in-Chief Zhu De and Deputy Commander-in-Chief Peng Dehuai. There are also children like Wang He. There was a famous song called Er Xiao, the cowherd boy. Wang He was one of the origin of this song. He was a member of the Children's Corps during the War of Resistance, and these children have helped the armies to deliver messages or keep watch. Some of them even sacrificed their young lives. Touched by their stories, the song was composed and has been passed on until today. There are also patriotic overseas Chinese. For example, Yi Guangyan. He led overseas Chinese to actively participate in the war of resistance against Japanese aggression by donating money and supplies. But unfortunately, he was killed by turncoats in Thailand. And also, we have international friends in this name list, like the Soviet pilot Olyahov and the Romanian nurse Gisela. They traveled thousands of miles to China and have given their life to the victory of the war of resistance against Japanese aggression. Chinese people will remember them forever. As for the sites, many of them have witnessed the war of resistance. For example, the office of the 8th Route Army in Luoyang, Henan Province. Comrade Liu Shaoqi, Zhu De, and Peng Dehuai came here for multiple times and instructed the works here. And it was in this very office that Comrade Liu Shaoqi has drafted the famous document on the cultivation of Communist Party members. There are also memorial facilities and also the sites that have witnessed the victory. For example, the site in Shanxi Province, the former headquarters building of the First Army of the Japanese invaders in North China. It was one of the 16 places to accept the surrender of Japan, and the Japanese militarists in Shanxi and Suiyuan has surrendered to the second theater in this very building. Also, there are sites witnessing the tragedies during the war. For example, the sites commemorating the perished miners. It witnessed that during the invasion, Japanese aggressors enslaved Chinese laborers, oppressed Chinese people, and plundered Chinese resources. And also, there are sites for the expedition army. There is a memorial facility for the sacrificed Chinese expeditionary soldiers and commanders in Myanmar. There is a monument towering over the place where these soldiers were buried, demonstrating Chinese people's important contributions to the victory of the World Anti-Fascist War. We can see from the fourth batch of the name list, it covers a wide range of martyrs and memorial facilities, and these facilities are scattered in a large range of regions. They showcased that the CPC has played a mainstay role in the war of resistance and has shown us the epic history of China's whole nation resistance. They also functioned as a proof to the historical fact that the Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression has opened the main eastern battlefield of the World Anti-Fascist War. Thank you. Next one, please.
遗址出土文物特展已经开展，颇受关注。请问东北抗联文物保护
I'm with 大众 Daily. We have noticed that the Cultural Relics exhibition of the Northeast Resistance Alliance is now open. Can you share with more on this? Thank you for your question. The Northeast Resistance Alliance is a force led by the CPC, who have fought for the longest time and the hardest during the war. It has left a glorious chapter in the War of Resistance. The spirit of the Northeast Resistance Alliance is among the first batch that has been recognized at the Party Central Committee to be listed as the CPC Spirit Spectrum. In the exhibition, it covers more than 700 remains and 35 memorial sites, and more than 100,000 relics have been exhibited. They witnessed the 14 years of struggle of the Northeast Resistance allies. On the policy front, first we have enhanced overall preservation, and we have covered many of the exhibitions and museums commemorating the Northeast Resistance Alliance into the list of national museums, and is open to public for free. And second, for enhancing the preservation efforts, there are altogether more than 200 preservation and exhibition projects. And now the preservation works is going well together with environmental and forest protection projects. And on Building Better exhibition, there are now 42 general exhibitions and 76 thematic exhibitions and 300 plus themed activities. This exhibition goes well with tourism in various types. Going forward, we will plan better these exhibitions to make them form synergy with the 15th five-year plan, and to dig out the value of these cultural relics, to organize more refined exhibitions, and to give full play to the educational function of these sites and relics, so as to leverage them to facilitate the development of Northeast China and also raise the level of preservation work. Thank you.
您好，北京广播电视台记者提问：近期围绕纪念抗战
BRTV, recently a series of activities have been held across China to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the victory of War of Resistance against Japanese aggression. What has the Ministry of Veterans Affairs done in terms of leveraging revolutionary resources and carrying forward the great spirit of War of Resistance? Thank you for your question. Reflecting on the past, one can better understand the future. The great spirit of War of Resistance is always the source of strength that encourages Chinese people to overcome all difficulties and obstacles and work for the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. According to the Central Unified Instructions and Arrangements, in order to carry forward the great spirit of War of Resistance, we worked with the China Media Group to jointly launch a campaign to encourage the public to tell stories of the War of Resistance. We work with the Chinese Young Pioneers Work Committee to leverage the existing commemorative facilities, memorial facilities, to encourage the Chinese young pioneers to pay tribute to the fallen heroes. And we have organized a competition to tell the historical stories, to pay tribute to the heroes and bring education to the communities. We hold thematic exhibitions and events to organize talks between the veterans and soldiers, serving soldiers, as well as other commemorative events. Through all these activities and arrangements, they have fully told the stories of the war of resistance and shown the bravery of the Chinese people against the Japanese aggression and the extraordinary history, and has demonstrated the role of the CPC as a central pillar in the war of resistance and tapped into the values of these stories to encourage and inspire more people to make arduous efforts to make contributions to Chinese modernization. Going forward, we'll continue our work in this regard to better preserve, manage, and use the system of historical resources and take them as the education basis and ensure the discovery and use of these education bases to foster an atmosphere of respecting and paying tribute to the heroes. Thank you.
中区第一排，这位女士的。
谢谢主持人。光明日报记者提问。7月3部
Guangming Daily. In July, 3 agencies released a list of recommended thematic exhibitions of the 80th anniversary of the War of Resistance against Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist War, which drew wide attention right after its release. Could you share with us what are the main highlights of the thematic exhibitions? Thank you. My colleague, Peng Yuehui, has participated in this work, so I will invite him to take this question. The exhibitions are basic ways to tell the stories of the war of resistance. According to the instructions, 31 provinces and the Xinjiang Production and Construction Corp have all held thematic exhibitions, and they have made solid progress in this regard, and they have shown openness and sharing and pulled the strength from all sides. So overall, they are the following 5 highlights of this year's exhibitions. First, the multi-dimensions. From the exhibitions on human peace to the CPC's leadership in the war, from the exhibitions showing different battles, they have all shown the grand narratives and the great victory. From the Spanish battlefield to Chinese battlefield against Japanese aggression, from the Flying Tigers to the other heroes, they have told stories from very small details and reflected the vivid history of the war. Second, we ask the culturalists to speak for themselves. This is a major characteristic. The Northeast Resistance United Army exhibition reflected all the unearthed relics in that place, and they have shown the historical scenarios in a multidimensional way to show the history, extraordinary history of war of resistance in northeastern China. We also have exhibitions using international journalistic coverings to make the voices from Yan'an to be heard, and showing up the confidence and hope of the war of resistance with the CPC's leadership. Third, we use different technologies and ways to improve, to have more dynamic display and exhibition to narrow the gap from history and today. We also provide immersive experiences to make people feel better the history. The Lei Bing Bong, Amazing Stories of Landmines. This is an exhibition that uses hand painting, film, comics elements to make the exhibitions more appealing. Fourth, we have new items, relics in the exhibitions. For example, in an exhibition featuring Lugouqiao, we have many items that are shown for the first time. In an overseas Chinese exhibition, we have items collected from the overseas Chinese. So we use these small stories and items to tell the extraordinary stories of the ordinary Chinese people, to show the bravery and courage of the Chinese people and their integrity. Fifth, around July the 7th, August the 15th, and September 3rd, we launch a number of exhibitions. For example, an overseas Chinese exhibition was held in 5 places. An exhibition featuring the revolutionary cultural relics in counter-Japanese bases are held in 4 provincial museums. The Museum of the War of Resistance Against Japanese Aggression have received more than 600,000 visits since its launch, and the exhibition hall of the Crime Evidence of Unit 731 have received more than 3 million visits in the past 3 years annually. And in this summer, the reservation has been as high as 80,000. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm with Changjiang Daily. I would like to ask about the martyrs among the name list of the 4th batch. Are they all recognized as martyrs, and can their families and offsprings enjoy relevant commendation and preferential treatment? I would like to ask Mr. Li Jingxian to take this question. In the name list, these martyrs are all heroes of the war of resistance. No matter they have been recognized as martyrs, we will all remember them and commemorate them. According to the regulation on the commendation of martyrs issued by the State Council, the recognition of martyrs follows strict process and conditions. It is what we need to pay attention to in the future. According to statistics, in recent history, there are about 20 million martyrs who have given their lives to China's revolution and construction. Among them, only 1.96 million are known with names. These martyrs are recorded in the name list of different localities, and for their families and offsprings, in line with the condition, will all enjoy the commendation and preferential treatment according to the regulation. The recognition and rectification of the name list of martyrs needs long-term and systematic endeavors. It requires the joint efforts between the military and the public. It also needs long-term social support. After the publication of the fourth batch of name list, if there are new clues and information, we welcome you to contact us or to contact our departments at the localities. We will rectify them and give a feedback in time. Thank you. Now that's all of today's press conference. Thank you.